Hey everyone. So I wanted to come on, I felt compelled to come on to talk about a specific topic, and it has to do with parenting and kids in school and just thinking about it a little bit differently and being easier on yourself and just kind of looking at things from a different perspective. Because first of all, not a lot of people in the spiritual community even touch on kids, or maybe I'm just not seeing it, but I pretty much almost never hear anyone saying too much about how we raise kids unless it has to do with going off the grid and homeschooling, and that's not plausible for everybody. And a lot of people get stressed out and feel judged or judge themselves, and it's easy to do that as a parent. I have 4 children, ages 11, 8, 6, and 4. I have done an equal amount of homeschooling as I have done public schooling. I have my degree in education. Lance has taught for many years. We both have, he has 2 daughters himself, one in high school, one in, I think she's 4th or 5th grade. I can't remember. But like, we understand both sides and parenting and all that stuff, and co-parenting. That's another thing that's difficult, especially right now with all this stuff going on. It's like one parent can believe one way and the other parent can believe a different way, like divorced parents, and then you have to learn how to come through with integrity and respect, and that's not always easy when it's one-sided, maybe, you know. I'm pretty fortunate in my situation. There's not a lot of turbulence. Here and there's a little bit, but for the most part, we could come to agreement. Lance is not so fortunate in his situation, and it's very difficult because he feels like he doesn't have a say, you know? And so everybody's situation is different, is my point. And so being as easy as you can about things, be easy on yourself about things as a parent is like crucial, because it's not going to be perfect. And if you have multiple kids, you know what I mean, like in terms of even your child's personalities. You could have a kid that's so easy. He just goes with the flow. He just like bright, don't have to really try too hard, catches on to things, just does his thing, gets along with people, and then you could have a child who, maybe has a learning disability or emotional issues for whatever reason. And you can't blame yourself for that. We can't like blame ourselves for our kids coming in with different personalities. Especially, this is the most interesting part. It's like you can have, like for me, I have 4 kids. They're all raised in the same environment, but they're all very different. So yes, does your environment impact you? Absolutely. But kids come in as their unique selves. They come in as an individual. They come in and they're this person, and they're trying to function in a society that says everyone should function the same way when they're all very unique, right? And so this is what's missing from schools, and that's something that is one part of my mission, diving into that. And I wrote about it, and I'll get to it in a minute. But just as a brief introduction, this is about thinking about things differently, not trying to fit in a box. And like the spiritual community gets very judgmental, very one way about things, and they don't really think of things as a whole. And I'll also get into that. Okay. So first thing, I noticed a pattern with myself. So it was weird. Like, my ex-husband's in the military, so we did move around a lot. So it gave me good reason to homeschool sometimes. Sometimes we'd be in public school, go back. So an equal amount of homeschooling and public schooling really has been my experience in terms of raising my kids. And they equally like homeschooling as much as they like public school. The only time my kids get fed up with public school is when they get like ahead in class and they get bored. But for the most part, especially my boys, they're getting to the age where, they think girls are cute and stuff. Like, they like to go to school. They like to interact with other kids. They like to have that. And I'm not saying they can't interact with kids in like a homeschool environment. You can join co-ops. You can do the whole bit. Extracurriculars, whatever the case. But it's different. And like, when you completely detach yourself from the matrix, you rob yourself of like golden opportunities to grow, because contrast helps us grow. So when we just stick ourselves in a homeschool environment and we don't really interact and we're in isolation, it's this like, there's an imbalance there sometimes because we're not grounded in our communities. We're not like interacting with our environment. and we're in this bubble where it doesn't bring up a lot of opportunities to grow because there's not a lot of contrast. It's just like, it's almost like being ungrounded in the feminine. And a lot of people in the spiritual community that have formed communities have formed these little cults. Like, well, I'll judge you if you're not vegan, or I'll judge you if you don't homeschool your kid, or it's just like they don't see the imbalance and how, like, you can't just go full feminine, unbalanced, just in your head in this spiritual zone all the time and not ground yourself into everything around you on Gaia, in this earth. Like, really, like, understand that we're here for service to others, not just service to ourselves. And I will just, like, get into that. I'm not saying if you go off grid and just homeschool your kids, that's a wrong decision. Everybody has their own journey. Everybody has their intuition will lead them where they need to go. So this isn't like a one size fits all, but I'm telling you right now, there's a lot of people who feel conflicted, who are not sure, but then they judge themselves because they watch too many videos saying it's one way or the highway, especially with spirituality. Everybody thinks it's like the divine way is this way. And it's like, you are the divine and you have this own unique creation that you're figuring out who you are and how that's going to manifest according to these desires, these new desires that come up inside of you because you've raised your vibration and your desires change based on your vibration. Trust me, the things that you, if you look back and you think about the things that you wanted like 5-10 years ago, have those evolved on your journey, on your spiritual journey? Absolutely they have. And if they haven't, then you probably haven't evolved that much. If they haven't changed that much, right? That's another good way to gauge, like, if you're, like, growing spiritually, is like, how is your perspective on life changing? Because your perspective is constantly changing. My perspective changed from yesterday than it did today just by getting a few downloads about things, right? So it's just understanding and that willingness to get out of your comfort zone and change and look at things differently and maybe try something, see if it works. If it doesn't, try something else. It's all about, like, solutions. Everybody gets stuck in victim mode on the problem and they, like, judge themselves a lot, right? It's a little bit stormy here. If it's hard to hear me, I'm sorry. Okay, so let's get into my notes because I already went off on 7 minutes. Okay, yeah, so public schools are great for personal growth. That's what I already mentioned. Okay, we have to understand people and the environment in order to grow. So, like, and that's another reason why sheltering yourself completely from the matrix isn't necessarily going to help transform things. I mean, you could sit like a monk on a mountain and raise your vibration and just anchor that frequency. I suppose there's some people that have that mission, but I feel like that's not a lot of people. Like, a lot of people are going to be boots on the ground and then be able to hold that spiritual high and that balance and feminine energy, but also boots on the ground, helping others, being active, following the intuition and making those things manifest for themselves. Okay. Yeah, I mentioned about, like, spiritual cults being hyper feminine and ungrounded. And then, but this is the thing too, like, if your kid wants to come out of, like, public school or something like that, it's probably them, like, needing a break. But you also have to use your discernment. So, like, yeah, your child should have an opinion, but ultimately you're the parent. You're the parent that's, like, helping your child prepare itself for the real world so it can be out there and be independent and be respectful and just be a good person, right? So that's another thing about, like, a lot of people in the spiritual community that are super into unschooling, and I love unschooling. I love John Holt. I love all his work. But there's this place where it's like a child should have their opinion. A child should, like, say how they feel. And it's like cross this boundary into disrespect with some people, I've noticed, right? And it's just, it's like teaching. It's like if you don't have this space where you're the parent and then there's this boundary and then the child can't cross certain boundaries of respect. If you don't hold that boundary, you're going to raise kids who grow up to be shitty people who are shitty to other people, who struggle in relationships. And that's why it's so important to develop and this is part of my mission, developing new subjects, incorporating them into new schools or your homeschool, or transitioning like these schools that currently are in place as they transition, because things are going to change. Like, we're not going to keep telling lies in schools. Like, we have to come in, be boots on the ground, and change this shit. We can't just run away and like create our own thing and just like forget about everybody else. And like people, like, it's uncomfortable for people to hear that because that's the most convenient solution. But I know this isn't for everybody, but for me and Lance, like, in terms of we're here for the kids, it's in so many different aspects of everything. And we have to teach kids how to understand themselves and others. So like different things that I'm personally working on isn't necessarily, it's kind of like curriculum, it's kind of like courses, but it's more like introducing subjects into schools, or perhaps new schools, because I'm not sure how receptive public schools will be to this kind of thing. But I know things are changing, so who knows? Like, we just have to keep this energy of change and energy of renewal going in terms of like reshaping the entire system. So yeah, some of those subjects were like consciousness, unlearning the lies that we have been told already, and then introducing like hidden truths that have been, just like things that we don't know about our world and we have been taught a lie about it. Like, we need classes that help people to learn the truth and unlearn the things that weren't true, right? And that's adults and kids. And we can do that online too. So for me, I would love to make, this has been in the works with me for years, is I already have the domain and the website. I just have to get everything done. It has just been everything going on, right? So when it's time, it's time. But just places where people can go, where they can learn in an organized way, like a course or even curriculum, and teach your kids how to know themselves, how to know others' personality types, how to know like about astrology and all of those things that are helping grown adults going through the ascension process right now learn how to interact with others, their environment, how to become more independent and self-sufficient and sovereign, teaching kids how to become sovereign. Okay? And that is why there should be so many people focusing on kids right now. But I think that how can you focus on kids until you get your shit straight with yourself? And I think that's like kind of where we're at. Like, a lot of the adults are still getting their self in order, and not everyone is able to even get those hints about their mission yet until they're ready, until they love themselves so much that that's enough for them. They're not reaching for things externally to fulfill themselves in order to feel like they mean something in life. Like, they're out there like, I fucking mean something and I have something to give to the world, and here we go. And when you're ready, that's when it comes to you. So it's not going to come until you're ready. So like, everybody's just going to kind of work on themselves, and that's when your mission will be revealed to you. Even if it's not time to be boots on the ground or dig your feet in, you can start getting ideas out on paper. You can start receiving information, and just being in that space of the better it gets, the better it gets. I know what's coming. Even if it's not here, who cares? I love this moment. I love that I can still generate ideas. I love that I can still step into this space of connection where I can receive information that's going to assist me along the way. Whatever I need now, Spirit, bring it to me right now, whatever that is I need. And sometimes it might even be just a good cry to release some old stagnant energy so you can create that space to raise your vibration and then step into mission and receive more information. It's this cycle, it's this journey, and every person is unique. I can't come on here and tell you this is how it's going to be for you. I don't know how it's going to be for you. All I can say is how it's going to be for me. I don't even know how it's going to be for my kids. All I can do is be that example for them. And let's dip back into my notes because I already went off on a tangent. Okay, already covered that. But I'm just going to say this one more time. Yes, we can have an off-grid property. We can do our thing off grid, but let's not bypass our mission to serve others. We have the power to transmute darkness into light for all, not just us. That's what the dark ones do. They hoard everything for themselves. And in this weird way, I was thinking about it this morning. That is what it is when you just run away from all, like, you don't face your fears. You like, oh my God, the government's going to come get me. Let's just go run off grid and do our own thing in a way that is service to self. You're not wanting to like stand up with the people and change the system. It's like, let me just, rip my kids out of school because what if this, that, and the third happens? And like, use your discernment. Some places it's worse than others. Like for instance, so I homeschooled this past year. My kids want to go to school now. They don't have mask mandates and they don't do like social distancing and they don't have V's and all that stuff. And like, I've talked to the principal. I went in there and I gave V exemptions for every one of my kids. And I also gave them forms. I did this myself, guys. Just go type it up, write it out. The form, you can find exemption forms online for your state. And just make sure it has like the state code at the bottom and all that. But anyways, I went in, I made sure. I looked the principal in the eye and said, if there are any mask mandates, if there's any of this, if there's any of that, I am pulling my kids immediately. And let me tell you, I think there's been a lot of parents down there because like as soon as I handed the office lady my exemption, she was like, okay, I'll make copies. Please just don't go off on a rant about how you're worried about the world right now and your kids. So I can tell, but I live in an area that is much more conservative. It's like a small mountain town. And it's just like our neighborhood. That school is just our neighborhood. And so for the most part, a lot of people feel the same way I feel. So like Spirit led me to this area, but that doesn't change the fact that she tried to reassure me before she saw that how I felt about it, that every teacher and employee there had got that. I was just like, oh, that's a little interesting, but I don't live in fear, and I feel like if things were to go down, maybe this is Spirit's way of having me go get on my freaking soapbox at the school board meeting, like, I don't care. I'll do that if that's what I have to do. But right now I feel like it's important because there's nothing, it's important for one to listen to my kids. They want to go back to school. They enjoy school. Let them go back. If they get sick of it again, I'll pull them out. But it's important to go check out the scene. I was much more nervous about the whole thing until I went and I had the conversation with the principal. I went to the school. I went and, you know what I mean? I peeped the scene. I peeped the energy of the people there. And and they didn't look like they're interested in pissing off any parents. And actually, they were super great. Like my second grader, he's deaf in both ears, just partially. Like he doesn't have to wear hearing aids, but it's enough that it impacts his speech. And so like they made sure that, because there's one other girl in his grade who's also deaf, and they made sure they got the speaker systems in the room for him. She's like, we'll make sure we get him in the same room with her and all this stuff. And he literally has no issues. He was in gifted classes last time he was in school when they first put him in, because he's just like, he's super bright. He's always asking questions, and usually he just gets bored because he's so far ahead of everyone else. But yeah, like it was just like the energy was good, right? And if at any point it seems not good, I will not hesitate to change my mind, and that's okay. And I know there's a lot of pressure for parents out there, like especially if you work and to homeschool. I'm sorry, not if you have 4 kids. I mean, if I work, there's no way. Yeah, you can kill yourself, but you have to like respect yourself, because if you're not your best you and you're just forcing it all the time and it's too much for you to homeschool, that is not a healthy environment for your kid either, or you, because you're putting pressure on yourself. Are they getting what they need? Are they doing blah, blah, blah? If you're co-parenting with somebody else, so that's another thing. Like my kids, their dad would prefer them to be in the school. And even if I have every argument in the world as to why I think differently, and you know what? We homeschooled while I was with him, and that's probably because I'm more of a relaxed homeschooler, but he seems concerned that the kids aren't gonna, you know what I mean? So he kind of knows how I roll. Like the school, a lot of it's BS, like I don't pressure my kids about grades. Honestly, the more that they're going to gain from school has nothing to do with the education itself. It has to do with interacting with other people. That is how you raise your consciousness, learning how to interact with others in integrity, learning how to come from a space of love. And so when my kids come home from school and they have a conversation with me, because they're very open with me, that is how you help your kids grow. You give them a safe space to come talk to you. Give them a safe space to come express themselves, and then be calm, even if it's something that might piss you off. Come from a space of calm. Come from a space of like, okay, let's get to the root of why you felt like you needed to do that or react in that way, whatever. And just helping your kids be more conscious of themselves, raising their consciousness. Like, that is the most crucial thing. They will thrive in life if you can create those skills for them. And so I'm off track again, but it's okay, because obviously those things need to be heard. But I just these are just random. It's not even like a flow in this conversation right now. It's just random thoughts that I want to share because I think that people need to hear them, because a lot of people are super hard on themselves about this. I know, because I was hard on myself. It's like, okay, am I doing enough? Are they reaching certain standards? I know I got my master's degree in education, so I know all the stupid Common Core bullshit. Like, I know there's a lot of bullshit involved in public education, but if you can create that healthy environment at home and teach your kids how to grow from being in that environment, they'll go and they'll be a light for other kids. They'll go and they'll exchange, you know what I'm saying? They'll be able to grow so much more. I honestly feel that way, but give them the breaks too. This has been like, I didn't even realize it, but letting them go to school and then letting them come out of school and going back and forth and having these breaks, like, and then go, I don't know. There's something about it that has helped my kids greatly. It's like this beautiful balance of like going home, being in this nurturing structure, like not structured in the fact that like authoritarian like structure, but like healthy environment where me and Lance, we sit down, we have dinner together with as a family. Lance, it's like very traditional, but this like, so when I was like 0 to 8, when I was a kid, I had very, very unstructured life. I was living with my mom, who was a drug addict, an alcoholic, and would just leave me and my brother at home all the time. I took my dad 4 attorneys to get us. My dad basically fucking saved us, right? And so it was such a culture shock when I went from, this was like when I was 8 years old, I went from no structure, literally just like, I don't even know where my mom is right now. I'm just home chilling with my brother and making fucking cereal and shit, right? Living in filth with lice and shit like that, to an environment where my dad grew up very structured, very conservative, very like dinners on the table at 5. My stepmom was a special ed teacher, okay? She was amazing. Like, everything you see that you think you should do by the book was my dad, but it was like too much. But there was such a solid foundation that I had. Like, my dad literally saved me, bringing in that balance. So the freedom that I had, even though I was like neglected, it was like this crazy freedom with my mom. It was like, and then insane structure with my dad, and it like brought in this balance. And it was very like, it was almost unhealthy in both directions. Unhealthily a bit, like unhealthily structured and controlled, right? So for me, I came in and I have balance. Like, it's so weird. Like, balance is like the theme of my life. It's my sun and moon are both in Libra. It's no surprise. But I learned so much from that, because I am soft and feminine with my kids, but at the same time, my kids will not walk all over me, and they will be respectful, and they will grow into respectful adults. Okay. So it's like, everything is about balance. It's about balance in your personal relationships too. It's like, can you come in with this love, but can you also come in grounded and be able to bring something to the table and show up for your family, right? Balance is everything. Okay. That's why you can't be on drugs and shit all the time, because you'll be unbalanced. That's what I talked about in my last video. You're just fucking spaced out all the time, and you're not interacting with people in your community, and like being the light, and just like sharing what you have to share and giving what you have to give. You're just sitting all spaced out and just into yourself all the time. You know what I'm saying? And I see a lot of people who preach in the spiritual community and are, you know, kind of tapping into low vibrational energies and not realizing it, like in that lane. So I'll just mention that real quick. Okay. Yeah. And this is it. Yeah. I don't pressure my kids about grades. I'm open and honest with them about the system and things that may or may not be true. So when they come home, this is another thing. When you send your kid to a public school, you got to spit truth to them at home so they can see through things. But you also have to teach them respect. So for me, like my oldest son, I'll be like, hey, this thing that they taught you in school, like Christopher Columbus or whatever the hell it is, you know, the whole list of things, that may be a bunch of crap. But your teacher may not know that. And there's a level of respect you have to have. So you can know something but not feel the need to call somebody out about something. I mean, it teaches you, like if you're so open and honest with your kids, you can teach them how to be fucking masters. And you can use school to do it. Or it could go far left, because if you don't have this balance and you don't have this nurturing at home of everything that they need to know to grow consciously, they could go to school and get completely brainwashed. So don't think I don't think of that side of things. I just know that my kids aren't, because they already fucking know more than most adults. And it's sad because adults just look at kids like, oh, just like, what do you have to give me? And it's just like, you don't even understand. The whole fucking secret is becoming more childlike. Kids have everything to give us. They have everything to give us. We can't just look at kids as like a bag of karma. Although a lot of people should not have kids, and it's not for a lot of people. I'm not saying go have kids. I'm just saying kids have a lot to teach us. A lot to teach us. And if you do have kids, it's part of your journey. So, and it's complicated as ever. They're little unique individuals. Your experience with one of your children could be totally different than your experience with another. I have two kids that it's just their personality types. It's literally just their life path numbers. It's just where they're at astrology. I mean, they encompass that. It's so crazy. That's why we have to teach kids about this stuff, because I'm starting to realize, like, everyone's like, oh, astrology's crap, blah, blah, blah. People who don't know shit about shit, whatever. The more I dig in, the more I realize how intentional we were before we came in here, about when we were born, the names we chose, the parents we chose, all of that. And so were our kids, and we have to understand that. So, yeah, I dive into so much stuff with my kids. It's crazy. Okay, so just teach them about the bullshit at school, so when they go to school, they can start learning how to see through bullshit in the matrix. You're training your kids to be able to operate in the matrix. If you shelter them, you also run the risk of them just being brainwashed by you, unbalanced in feminine energy, and then not know how to function in the matrix. So this is why I'm just throwing these ideas out here. I'm not saying it's one way or the highway. I'm saying think about things from different perspectives and then use your intuition. Listen to your child, listen to yourself. You, as the parent, ultimately make that decision. Let your kids have an opinion, but still use your intuition and make that decision as a parent. No structure. No structure or allowing children to have free range to be disrespectful sets them up to be shitty adults. I already mentioned that. I can't handle how people let kids be disrespectful because they think, oh, I don't want to punish my kid. I'm not saying go hard on your kid. What kids need is conversation. They need somebody to just sit and not be pissed off at them, not be all worked up. So, if you have to go give yourself a minute to cool off, go cool off and then get grounded, get connected to your higher self and have a conversation with your kid. You know what I'm saying? Come from that space. Don't come from anger. Trust me, I've had to learn these lessons. All of us parents have to learn these lessons. I have 3 boys. Boys are crazy. They're wrestling all over the place all the time. You can't just run in and just scream at them constantly. You just kind of have to like reason with kids. Like, this is why we can't do this way. You know, you have to be respectful of people in your surroundings. Like, break shit down. Lance is great at this. He was a high school teacher. He was taught elementary school, and then he went and he like OSS students, instead of them, that's out of school suspension here. Instead of having them be out of school, they put them in this program to help them be able to function in regular school setting without getting in trouble all the time. So Lance had that classroom of kids. That was the last thing he did before we left Virginia. Now he doesn't teach because everything that happened. Oh my goodness, my kids. I have to finish up quickly. But anyways, he learned so much about like how to talk to kids who have deep emotional issues, how to get through to them, because too many people want to go all authoritarian mode instead of just sit down and treat them like their opinion matters, like they're a human being, like they need love and all of that, and just help them understand the matrix and how it works. Oh, he used to go in and let kids know, like, you have to learn how to function in this society. We need to come on and have that discussion. I'll let him express that to you, but like, he's taught me so much. He's taught my kids so much. And like, as parents, we can learn so much from that. Hold on one second. Mommy will be in a minute, Olani. Oh my goodness gracious. Okay, yelling out the window. All right, a couple more things before I go in. Always apologize. Show your children to recognize that you're not perfect, and that when you make a mistake, it's to learn from it and to be easy on yourself. But this is what I always tell them. When you know better, you do better. So yeah, we can mess up. We can treat someone like crap, and then we can do better. We could go apologize. We can see how like that person's coming from where they're coming from. You're coming from where you're coming from. And it's like these basic principles that most adults don't even fucking have. And instilling them in children, and then letting them go out and figure it out, interacting with other people and other kids, not just mommy and daddy and brother and sister. That's more. It's more than that. Okay. Find solutions, not issues. Okay, so here's a good example. Just a random thing I wanted to mention. If you're in public schools and you want to go the public school route, and say you don't like the cafeteria food, then pack your kid a lunch. Like, don't sit and just harp on all like the reasons you can't do something or all the bad things about something. Try to think of ways where you can make it better. You can talk to the teacher and make it right. You know what I mean? Or you could do whatever you got to do. Make accommodations for your kid. Sometimes that means some of your kids might be in school, some of your kids might be homeschooled. Who knows? I don't know. That's your decision for you. But just take so many perspectives into consideration and don't harp on negative things. Just be solution oriented. And that's just everything in life, not just school and your kids. Like, people just fall into victim mode, and it's just like, woe me. And they can't even think of a fucking solution because they're like thinking of too many reasons why that they're in the problem and they can't change the problem. Stop. You're stuck. Get unstuck. You can do it. Okay. All right. And this is the last thing I'm going to mention because my kids need me, and over 30 minutes they start needing snacks and such. I don't know if Danielle's going to watch this, but Daniela, she found me on my YouTube and she lived close to me. So we went and met up at the park and we talked for like 4 hours, and my kids, it was hot and they got sick of playing. And they couldn't handle that my undivided attention was not on them. But anyways, it was like, they were like, why the heck is mommy not showing us every ounce of her attention, and she's giving it to somebody else right now? So anyways, I got to go back in very soon. Biggest thing I want to say is that just because I think that you can use public schools as a tool doesn't mean I promote university, because university is the biggest crock of bullshit. It's programming, it's brainwashing. They program doctors. They fucking program pretty much everybody. I'm not saying every ounce of information you learn in university is bullshit, but I'm saying it's a cult. It's ran by dark forces, and it's not good. Yeah, sometimes you have to use this as a tool to do what you want to do, maybe on your journey. But I'm saying overall, me personally, I don't promote university. I promote kids acquiring skills, learning, and this is for independence. Like, I recommend this, whether you homeschool or public school. Get your kids a notebook and start teaching them how to do things. I don't care if it's laundry, cooking, changing a tire, whatever. And just start keeping track. Like, keeping track in this portfolio that you make for your kids. Every skill they learn, put that shit in there. And it'll show them how many things they can freaking do. And it's going to be so many things. You can start coming to the point where you're like, okay, what else can we do? What else can we add? What new skills can we add? And when they start becoming teenagers and stuff, you can start teaching them about anything like plumbing, construction, anything. And they're going to get to the point where they're not going to grow up and feel like they need to outsource everything and pay people to mow their fucking lawn and pay people to fix a clogged pipe where I literally go on YouTube and do it myself. You don't need to be a man. You don't need to have crazy skills. Like, you just need to have the confidence in yourself that you know how to do things. And that's not what our system a lot of times teaches us. It just teaches kids to know enough to get a job so they can be a slave in the system, instead of teaching them how to build skills and learn how to create, understand themselves, which is why I want to bring these subjects in, so they're able to know what they want to do and what they're passionate about, and then they can create these jobs for themselves. They can be independent business owners. They can do whatever the fuck they want to do. They can work for a company, but they don't necessarily have to go to university. They can just go to trade school and learn a trade and spend a lot less money and make close to $100,000 a year as an electrician. Like, why aren't we promoting things like that, right? And so I totally, if you guys have high school students and there's like trade school type options, I forget what the heck they call it, tech or something. When I was in high school, we used to make fun, not me, I just never did tech because everybody said it was for like the bums. You have to go to university. Are you fucking kidding me? The whole time that was where I should have been at. I wish I would have went and learned to be an electrician or a plumber or something like that. I would have fucking done it. If I would have known that was the better route, the more simple route, and the more obvious route to go if I wanted to get a job right away, if I wanted to make decent money right away, right? And it's just like, they fuck everyone's head up. I'm not saying that's what you need to do. I'm just saying, think about things. Think about things. But if kids learn how to know who they are and what they love and what they are passionate about, like, there won't be any confusion. They'll know what they're passionate about, and then they'll have the drive and the resources and the individual skills to go for it. They'll already know how to do their taxes. But fucking, I hope that shit is just done away with. But we'll see. They'll already know how to, manage their money. They'll already know what credit is. Even if this stuff doesn't exist, they'll already know about what they need to do to be somebody who is contributing to the all in a positive way. This is such the longest video ever, but it's like, I feel like I'm missing a million things that I could just add. But the point of the matter is, it's just stop thinking linearly about shit. People in the spiritual community do that. They literally you have to be vegan, like I said before. You have to do homeschool. You have to do things. You can't eat meat. You can't use chemicals and this and that. And it's just like, always some fucking rules. How about you just use your intuition and about everything, and stop worrying about shit. Stop being in fear. Find solutions. Be solution oriented. If you're in fear, you're in victim mode. You're in like, oh my God, let's just fucking run away and live in the wilderness. We have to bring that balance in. This isn't just about running away and fuck everyone else. This is not about that. We all have a role to play. Do I know how this world is about to transform? I don't know. But I do know that when I need to know something, it's going to be made available to me, because I'm going to keep my connection to source, continue to raise my vibration, and get those little nuggets of information to know that I'm on the right path for myself, and I'm making the right choices for myself and my family. And don't worry about people who are telling you should do it a certain way. Fuck them. They're not the people to listen to anyways. The people are listened to are the ones who are pointing you inside of yourself. The ones who are telling you follow your intuition. The ones who are telling you don't just take my word for it. Go out there and figure it out. There is no guru to save everyone. There is no Trump coming to save everyone. Maybe he's going to come back and do a lot of great things, but at the end of the day, it doesn't fucking matter unless you take aligned action in your life. That could mean homeschooling the whole fucking time. That could mean public schooling the whole time. That could mean dipping in and out like I do. That can mean understanding how the world works and how can I use the world to help me and my children grow consciously. And nothing helps you more than some fucking contrast. And us as light workers who chose to come into some bullshit like I did when I was a kid. I fucking married into I was born in like my parents' bloodlines. Crazy contrast for me to alchemize. And I'm not afraid of it. And I know that I help my kids just by healing myself. And if I can teach them to do the same thing, that is the ultimate goal. And that's my ultimate goal, to teach others to do that, adults and children alike. And I don't know how that's going to roll out. All I can do is sit here and throw my ideas out like I am now and then follow my intuition when the moment calls. So I'm gathering this information. I'm figuring out how I can deliver complex spiritual information in a simple way, using as many examples as I can to help people make those connections to how they can make the changes in their life too. How they can connect to their higher self and tune into their intuition so they can make smart decisions and choices for themselves too. And that's all you can do. And be easy on yourself, because you ain't going to be perfect. There's so much shit. There's so much darkness to transmute. There's so much programming to come out of. We have to help we can come in with our soul family and do that together, but we also have to come out into the community and be bright beacons of light there too and help change the system. So we can be more extreme when we're at home. We can be, but we can go and shine our light and offer new ideas too. I love you guys. I got to get back to the minis, and I hope you have an amazing day and that this helps someone. If you have things to contribute, ideas to contribute, leave them in the comments. Support each other. Love you guys.